Hey guys, we're here with the notes for 3.4. Today we're going to be graphing equations that are in standard form. So if you would, go ahead and pause the screen, copy what you see, and then we'll get started. Awesome. So if I'm looking at standard form equation, it looks a little bit different than what we've worked with so far. We're looking at ax plus by equals c. So basically your x and y are on the same side of the problem. All right, so what we want to do is determine one of two different options for ways that we can work this out to get a graph. First option is to rewrite it into the equation we like, y equals mx plus b. The second option only works sometimes. Okay, so I'm going to make a note, doesn't always work. The reason it doesn't always work to find x-intercepts or y-intercepts is because you don't always hit a whole number, okay? So this is going to be our go-to for every problem. Let's talk about what that looks like. Our goal is going to be to solve to get y alone. So let's work through one of these first problems, okay? Here's how you're going to rewrite an equation. If I want to get y alone, let me see if I can highlight him real quick. Trying to get that y alone. That means we want to get the 3x to the other side. I don't want to get rid of the best friend. So I'm going to cancel ax using plus or minus. In this case, my 3x is positive, so I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. This kind of goes back to literal equations when we said we cancel the doubles and we copy what we see. So what I see is a 5y, and then I see negative 15 minus 3x. Notice I wrote them in a line. I did not write them stacked up. That would only happen if we were dividing, and we are not doing that, okay? Second thing we're going to do is divide all parts by our b. So in this case, our b is this 5. That's our best friend. So I'm going to divide every single piece by that b. So I'm going to divide everybody by 5. Just like in literal equations, we were going to cancel the doubles and copy what we see. But right now, we want to make sure that we are simplifying. Okay, so if I'm simplifying this equation, I know that negative 15 over 5, or divided by 5, is going to give me negative 3. And negative 3 divided by 5 is not going to work. So I'm literally just going to bring that down. Negative 3 over 5 with my x. All right? So in the same kind of respect that we had before, we have mx plus b, but this time the only edit is m has to be next to my x, and my b is going to be at the front. Okay, so the order is just a little bit off, and that's okay. We could fix the order, but you do not have to. So if I was going to graph this problem, I would say I'm going to begin on negative 3, and my slope is negative 3 over 5. So I'm going to go down 3 over to the right, 5 boxes, and put my point. Remember that if I'm going to the right as far as I can, I want to go backwards as far as I can. So the opposite of going down 3 would be up 3. 1, 2, 3. And the opposite of going to the right over 5 would be back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 to the back, 5 to the left. We're going to go ahead and draw our line. I'm going to go in and delete those little bloop bloops. All right, put my arrows on both sides of my line, and I am all set. So my m was the negative 3 over 5. Okay? Now, that's a basic equation that will work every time. Rewrite it into the formula we want and then graph it. But I want to show you an easier way. Sometimes we can do this by finding intercepts only. So finding intercepts means that I'm basically going to find these 2 points. So my x-intercept is where I cross the x-axis. And my y-intercept down here is going to be where I cross the y-axis, okay? So my x-intercept crossed on negative 5. That point is negative 5, 0, right? Because he's not going up or down at all. My y-intercept point, so my y number was negative 3, but that's because his x number was a 0, all right? So if I did that from the very beginning, if I know my x number is going to have a y that's 0, I can do that from the main equation. If I'm trying to find the x-intercept, I can just zero out the y. Basically, just get rid of him. Let's solve this. 3x equals negative 15, right? Because I just zeroed him out. I know the y is going to be 0. And this is a one-step problem. Divide by 3, x equals negative 5. Well, isn't that literally what we just said on that graph? Yeah. Let's do the other one. If I want a y-intercept, that means I know the x value is going to be 0. I'm just going to zero it out. Same thing. I'm going to divide by 5. And y is going to give me -3. Oh yeah, that's literally what I just had in my graph. If I had known those 2 points, I wouldn't have needed this guy at all. I could have just graphed the x number and the y number and drawn my line. And it's going to give you the same graph. Okay? So let's zoom out for just a second. Pause the screen, copy anything you missed. Pause the screen, copy anything you missed. Perfect. Let's go to the next page. Okay, we're going to work through 4 examples and then that's it. All right. Remember, rewriting works every time, but I want to show you how we can do the short version to get intercepts. Okay? So let's say I want my x-intercept first. I'm going to zero out the y, and I'm going to work this question out. 2x equals 6. Divide by 2, divide by 2. My x is 3. So the reason that that worked, the reason that I could find my x is 3 was because I zeroed out the y. Let's say I'm going to do the same thing for the other letter. So if I know I want my y, I'm going to zero out my x. If I look at that problem, it says y equals 6. Heck, I don't even have to divide on this one. It literally tells me my answer. But if I'm going to write my point, I know the y is 6 because I zeroed out the x. So let's graph those 2 points. My y is on 0, 6. My x was on 3, 0. And then I can draw my line. That's it. That's all I have to do. I can still rewrite it, but that is the faster way to graph for that specific problem. Okay? What if I tried to do that on number 2? Okay, so I'm going to say don't copy this yet. What if I tried to zero out my y right now? And I tried to divide this. 9x, you're not writing, you're just listening. Tried to divide. Can 12 divide by 9? No. Okay, so technically, if I was to simplify that, I would get 4/3. Oops, come on. So it's possible that I could say 4/3, 0. That's crazy. Nobody wants to graph that. You could, but it's really hard to figure out where that point's going to be. So specifically on problems like this, where the numbers don't come out even, this is where we want to rewrite. Okay? Let's go through. I'm going to cancel off my ax. 9 is positive. So I'm going to subtract 9x from both sides. We're going to cancel the doubles. Copy what you see. -3y equals 12 minus 9x. We're not subtracting 12 minus 9. Okay? We're going to divide, divide, divide. Divide everybody by that number that's stuck to the y. Cancel out, and we're going to get our first equation. Y equals 12 divided by -3 is a -4. -9 divided by a -3. Those two negatives cancel and make a positive, and I get plus 3x. So if I'm graphing this problem, I know my y-intercept, right? That's the same as saying my b. My b was -4, or in this case, I could be a little bit more specific on that. I could say my y-intercept is 0, -4. That's my beginning point. And my slope right there is that 3. If it helps you, make sure you write 3 over 1 so that I know my rise and my run, because that's going to be my pattern. Rise 3, run 1, make a dot. Rise 3, run 1, make a dot. Rise 3, run 1, make a dot. This is going to be my graph, and I technically don't need those little triangles. Okay? All right, if you need to pause the screen, copy what you see, we can go to the next problem. Awesome. So problem 3, I could do the same thing. If I look at this question and I want to find my x-intercept, I would zero out my y, right? -6x equals 4. I'm noticing a problem. If I start to divide this, I get a really weird number, okay? So technically, my x is -2/3. I can write that, -2/3, 0, but it's going to be really hard to know where that graph is, okay? What I want to do instead then is to do a rewrite. So let's switch colors. Let's rewrite. This time my x is negative. So if I want to cancel a negative x, I'm going to need to add because I want to do the opposite. What you do to one side, we do to the other. We're going to cancel the doubles and copy exactly what you see. So 2y equals 4 plus 6x. I want to divide by the number that's with y. In this case, that's a 2. So divide everybody by 2. The 2's are going to cancel, and I'll make my equation. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is a 3. Again, 3x. So I can see my y-intercept. I can see my b in this problem. My b is going to be a 2. In this case, my y-intercept would be 0, 2. So that's going to tell me where to begin. My slope, we can see that one. It happens to be 3 over 1 again. So rise 3, run 1. Rise up 3, boop, over 1, put my point. I can't go anymore, right? So I can go backwards. The opposite of rising 3 is falling 3. The opposite of right 1 is back 1. So let's do that. Down 3, back 1. Down 3, back 1. And that is where I'm going to get my line. I'm going to go through and get rid of all those little triangles because I don't really need them. There you go. That is what your graph should look like. All right, let's go to number 4. Number 4, I'm going to check to see if I can do x-intercepts, y-intercepts. Let's try that one. If I want my x-intercept, I'm going to 0 out my y because I know my point's going to be something comma 0. So then I can write it out. Negative 8x equals negative 16. If I divide by negative 8 on both sides, I get really lucky. That's a positive 2, right? Negative 16 divided by negative 8 makes 2. Perfect. I already have 1 point for myself. X is 2. Now let's see if I can do my y-intercept. If I get my y number, that means I want to make my x a 0. So eliminate or 0 out your x and write your question. Negative 4y equals negative 16. Same thing. This is a whole number. Divide by my negative 4, divide negative 4, and I'm going to get y equals positive 4. So I know my y-intercept is going to hit on positive 4, and I have my graph. All I have to do is connect those 2 points, and we're done. Okay? So check if x-intercept comes out to be a whole number. If it does, you can just find your y-intercept. Okay? You can do your cover-up method, 0 them out, blah, blah, blah. If your x-intercept comes out to be a fraction, like problems 2 and 3, you are going to need to do the rewrite. Okay? All right, pause the screen, copy anything you were missing, and then we are set to go.